Welcome to the Investing Bros. You're locked in. You're loaded in. You're going to smash the like. You're going to smash the sub. Guys, we have an amazing guest today. He was on the thumbnail. You've seen him before on the show. We were actually just before he joined looking back at the old videos that Kelly Kellum was in. Kelly, how are you doing this morning, my man?
Well, you know, it's a sad day.
Yeah.
It's a sad day for the Bears because we broke $50,000. Let's get a little hoot and holler for that. You know, it happened while I was live on the BitLab daily stream, so that felt good. No, but I'm
That's
good.
awesome.
I just have my head down hustling, and I'm happy to be back here with the fam.
Heck yeah. Dude, it has been quite a roller coaster. It seems like every thumbnail I'm making it's a new high. It's a new high. Is it 45, 48, now 50? It's crazy. I love doing it. I'll make new thumbnails to infinity if I have to, and I will do it like slicing through butter. Well, Kelly, you had some big news because not only did you get to see 50,000 on the Bitcoin price, you got to see 50,000 somewhere else where you were live this morning. Am I right? Sub count? The sub count on your YouTube channel.
Oh, I don't have 50,000. I'm at like 10,000.
Oh,
dude, 50,000. Hey, if you just up my game 40,000, I'd love it. No, but 50,000 hearts, maybe hearts and minds. No, but you know, I think we were talking about this before the stream. It's been wonderful. For those that don't know, T Shroom and I go way back, all the way before he was in the military to when he got his full retirement. He's a full life cycle.
That's right.
All the way back in Gainesville, Florida, back at the Crypto Jeb channel. And now he's doing his thing, and TA Tim doing his thing, and I got doing BitLab, and I'm happy to see so many familiar names in the chat. And we got to talk about these prices because it feels good, but is it too good?
Wild. It's wild, man. We want to jump on your charts and start showing everything that you're seeing?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's start with the big daddy of the day right here. Zooming out, let's go to the most impressive chart, the 3-minute chart. No, I'm joking. Let's get out here to the daily. And I mean, look at these daily candles right here. I mean, just up, right? And I mean, all the way back here, January 22nd to today, let's double click here. I mean, this is, we forget. Sometimes we feel like Bitcoin's moving so slowly. Yeah. It's so slow, but that's a 30% move in the matter of about 3 weeks or so. That is massive.
It is.
This is incredible. And people think that they have to get into altcoins to get good gains. No, you don't. You just need to be patient sometimes. And this is feeling good. Do you feel like we're getting to a point of a little bit of exuberance that we like? What would you say about your initial feelings with us at $50,000? Just your idea of the sentiment, and do you feel like we're a little overextended?
It's a good question, right? Is it overbought? Should I sell? Should I take profits? My thought here is that we are not in a like overbought level quite yet. I think if we were to just shoot up through 50,000 and just keep going, 55, 56, I think that's when I start to get like, okay, when this comes back down and corrects, this could be coming down pretty hard. But I feel like here we have built up so much support back here from January 8th, these candle body closes on the daily. And I think that there's good support here to build off of. It's a strong foundation. It's not just a shot higher out of nowhere and just a nonstop ascension, right, on no news, right? Now, what I do think is what is likely to happen here is that we haven't gotten this candle body on the daily to close above 50,000. We've gotten in there, right, on the lower time frames. We've gotten in there. However, if we don't close above that 50,000, there's really a higher probability in my mind that we do come down and spend some more time in consolidation. Now, we'll be spending more time in consolidation above 42,000, the last zone of consolidation, but I do think that it's not going to be the end of the world if we don't get up above 50,000. Kelly, if we get above 50,000, though, we get a candle body close, I think we could see some higher prices very quickly because ultimately the big money, the fresh new money is coming in right now, right? And they're sitting on the sidelines just before they put in their buy orders. I'm talking big money, hedge funds, pension funds that before weren't giving Bitcoin a time of day. Now they are due to the ETF exposure possibility and Larry Fink's change in tone towards Bitcoin. I think that money's got their finger on the trigger And we're now entering a zone where they're starting to feel the pressure of, if I don't buy, that'll be a mistake, versus what their thought process and their mindset a month ago was, I got plenty of time. I got plenty of time. Everybody's saying it's going to correct. Now the tables are turned. They're sitting there, I don't know if I have more time. This might be the lowest Bitcoin's going to be.
Well, two things here. One, on the chart, and I agree with all that. And I'm gonna take that one step further. Looking here on the chart, we have this giant order block that printed all the way back here, the beginning of December 2021, into November, this region right here. This is this red block that comes right across. And it's interesting to me that the price action has shot up, and look at what kind of where it's hesitating at right now, right on this level on the very bottom side of this. Now, this doesn't mean we can't slice through it, but it essentially is telling me that this is an area of interest that might be a little bit of a hurdle as we push up into this. And that in conjunction with, how fast you're moving up and the fact that we haven't even yet had the halving, there's some important considerations. Now, I want to go through some charts here that I think that you just alluded to, that we want to be technical, look, where are the levels, but I think one of the bigger players right now is the sentiment analysis, is what are the big considerations having? I think a lot of people in the space, whether they're new or old, meaning in the space, not by age, it's hard to really characterize how important it is, the shift in tone from Larry Fink. But you know what I think is a bigger shift in tone is the codified change in Fidelity's conservative investment fund. 1% allocation. So this is not the risky allocation. This isn't, no, if you want the conservative portfolio from Fidelity, you get a 1% Bitcoin allocation. That telegraphs, I don't want to say more, but it's a codified direct approach showing, some sort of idea of the need to have, even if you're conservative, at least get, a 1% allocation. And to all of us greedy degens here watching Investing Bros, watching BitLab, we're in here trading. We're trying to make the most out of the $11 we have or the $1,000 we have. So we're 30x leverage trading. And we do not realize 1% of equity funds and investment funds and hedge funds is more money than has even traded on the volume level of Bitcoin over its life. So it's like, that's a huge thing. And so when we look at stuff like that and then come over to this chart right here, this is a chart from the Rational Root that's tracking the ETF growth rate. So the negative down here is the outflows that we've seen. And so the GBTC outflows, and this basically metric above, this is the inflows. And look at this sharp increase here. And I don't think, we may get some dips along the way, just like anything, rise, retrace, continuation, right? But this is telegraphing more than just everybody's waiting on this direct to exchange buying pressure because of this. And I don't think it's going to work like that. This goes back to what I was saying before about the sentiment, understanding the context and the sentiment about what the ETF means. We are going to see exponential growth in awareness of money managers and people globally, really even starting to consider, because all of us, we're all in on Bitcoin, right? But there's so many people out there. Just the fact that there's hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of money managers out there that are now capitulating to even consider it. That's the next step, right? And so this type of data, when we see ETFs having this consistent, huge inflow to this new asset class ETF, the largest in Wall Street history in the life of how long ETFs have been around, and it's consistent. This is the type of data, smart money, big money players, market makers, people that are not yet in the system, they're like, oh, I was so against this. And even if they're still against the context of what Bitcoin is, people that are in markets, they're there to do it to make money. And when they see something like this, even if they had cognitive dissonance and they're against it, this type of data telegraphs, it doesn't matter if you like it or not. This is where the alpha is if you're trying to make money.
Yeah, absolutely. And, they're trying to get ahead of the market. There's the Vanguards, there's the Merrill Lynches of the world who are taking the opposite position, right? They're saying, yeah, we're going to hold off. We don't want our clients to have access to an asset that doesn't spin off revenue. They like dividends. They like to build dividends and, real estate, like lease agreements into their packages as much as they can that they sell to their clients. And that's at least what they're saying. That's the party line over at Vanguard. But I've also heard folks that have called and canceled their account with Vanguard. Right? The manager says, "Hey, wait, before you cancel, let me talk to them. Let me talk to them." And they say, "Hey, look, I own a lot of Bitcoin myself, right? And before you say no, before you leave, just know that." We'll eventually start custodying. We'll eventually start opening up the ETFs for purchase. And so, even the other side of the coin, the part of Wall Street that's like the brakes on Bitcoin, so to speak, right? They are also internally 100% on board with Bitcoin. They're just trying to take the opposite position, just in case something happens with Bitcoin in a short period of time. Then they come out huge, right? And then if nothing happens and they're like, we were wrong about Bitcoin, we're a little bit late to the game, weren't going to beat Fidelity and BlackRock anyway, so that's the way we played it. I think ultimately what you're saying is extremely bullish. 1% of Fidelity's AUM in their conservative fund, it's going to be huge, right? It's going to be massive. But I think a lot of people, I think a lot of people thought it was going to happen all at once. And we did get a test very, very high once that the ETFs were approved for real. But I think I agree with the folks like James Seyfert, whose conclusion here is that it's actually going to be a slow burn to the upside with Bitcoin. There may be a couple God candles in there for that correlate with different events or different like sovereign wealth funds that kind of publish that they've made an allocation or something like that. But from here on out, it's just going to be small family offices, the pension fund of Arkansas, the next little family office, whatever it is, going to be incremental. Right, but it's going to be pretty much up and up and up and up and I think probably the least amount of 30%, 20% pullbacks in Bitcoin that we've seen. So I'm very optimistic.
I mean, I agree on all accords there, and I think that one of the things that this is a projection, right? Everything that we're doing is when we're investing, and I'm not talking about trading on a 4-hour candle chart or a 1 hour or 15. I'm talking about even if you're trading, but you're trading for a period of this next bull market cycle, let's say 16 months. All this data is pointing to stronger and stronger fundamental metrics for the case of Bitcoin going up over time. And when we consider those outflows that we were just talking about with Grayscale, those outflows have actually done a good job of essentially funding the transfer over to a lot of the inflow necessity for buying power to fill up those other ETFs. Now,
Right.
If we do get downside though, there is something else that's super bullish here. This is another chart from the Rational Root has a great platform. If you guys haven't checked it out, called the Bitcoin Strategy Platform. But we can see this right here. This short-term holder cost basis is ticking up now to where it's already above what this previous low was right here, which is basically just shy, basically $40,000. And we do regularly see, if we zoom out on this, I can turn off all these other lines. Come on, you can. I believe in you. There we go.
Got it.
So looking at this line right here, this marks a wonderful metric to understand what sort of trend you're in, right? So when the price action loses the short-term holder cost basis, AKA the average price of every Bitcoin the last time it was traded, if it was held and traded within 155 days. So short-term held coins, the weakness in the market. Once you lose this, you tend to find rejections on the way down. Why? Because price comes back up into it and people are not trusting the trend anymore. So once it gets back up into this, people take profits and it goes down further. People take profits or capitulate, I should say. And then once we actually break back through it, just notice this dotted line. Once we break back through it, it acts as a great support all the way up to the upside. So when we're looking more locally, this is it zoomed in. When we're looking more locally, and if I turn off all of these other lines, just like we had on the last one, this line, we want it to, so we had a little bit of deviation here, and we may get a deviation here as well. Even if we drop from here down to test this previous high at $32,000. I'm putting that at a smaller and smaller likelihood, the more bullish this is all getting. But I'm just saying this because if we do get a pullback here, remember, big money is entering the market right now, which means this is not a game for kids anymore. This is not a game to come in here and just, no, these market makers have plenty of ability to move the market. They can move markets on multi-trillion-dollar assets, they can definitely do it on an asset that's under $1 trillion. And so if we do get a pullback, we've got a wonderful sort of buffer there at that $40,000 metric. And you know, I don't even know what to say right now, T-Shroom, because I'm still so excited that we broke $50,000 today. Even if we drop from here, even if we drop down to that 36th level, even if we drop below that to 31, even if we do Capo's never-ending bearishness here, look at this chart. And this, this is a valid chart. He's been calling for downside since the bull market started a year ago, but he's calling for this sort of basically local top formation distribution, this up thrust after distribution here, just similar to like we've had on this graph, and potential downside. This very well could happen. I'm putting it at a lower probability, but I'm still aware of it because think about what's happening right now on the globe. We have all these escalating conflicts. We have things going on. Remember, we have different type of warfare now too. It's not so much boots on the ground. It's electronic warfare. It's cyber warfare. It's, I used to be in a special ops squadron in the Air Force that was basically C-130s, but they were specialized C-130s that were essentially top secret electronic warfare platforms. And, we have to also realize that when we're in blockchain and crypto now, we're talking about currencies or assets that are entirely tied to energy and energy distribution and networking, right? So there are things that can happen in the next year or two that could make Capo all of a sudden seem like he's absolutely right. And we could say we drop down to $20,000. I'm just saying this, believe me, I'm bullish. If that were to happen, would it suck for that month or two or whatever happened to get us there? Yeah, but I would be trying to figure out which leg I need to put outside my skirt on the corner to get more capital to buy Bitcoin if it did drop down there. Now, if I put that on a probability, dropping below 30,000, I put that at a very low probability. I'm very bullish right now looking at the structure on this chart. I mean, we've got so many different support levels below the level that we're at now. If we turn on the lines, this is a crazy lines, but let's zoom in on this so it doesn't look so crazy.
A little spaghetti.
Yeah, spaghetti, right? On this 4-hour basis, we've got so much going on here. Let's turn off these indicators just so it's clear.
I love it.
We've got this blue line is the main thing I'm watching. This blue line has been sort of the strength of a trend or weakness of a trend metric right here. Just bounce, here, lost. And as soon as we lost it, look, boom, drop. And then we fought it all the way up, fought. And then support. And again, below, and we've broken back above it. So the bullish case for me on a pullback, yes, I said a bullish case on a pullback. A pullback can be bullish because we need them. Healthy movement. There's an inefficiency in this move here. There's a lot of short liquidations. If we get a pullback and we are able to hold in this region, essentially right here, 47.2 down to 46.8, if we can bounce here, this ultimately would be the most bullish pullback that we could have to, potentially launch from there. But one thing nobody's really talking about, and we always forget because it's up or down, right? Well, let's look at this chart one more time and realize, let's turn off all the lines and just look at price action. When we look at just the candles itself, every candle tells a story. And when you put them in patterns, it tells you the paragraphs that explain what narrative you're in. What we get, push up, a lot of sideways, breakdown, push up, sideways, and then just trickle down. A lot of sideways here. In fact, from this point right here over to here, that is 219 days. We basically had about a $7,000 range. Let's see. Yes, about a 7,000. This was basically ranging sideways. It didn't feel like a range because it's $7,000. But when you look at it, yeah, that's basically a sideways channel.
Yeah.
That is top to the bottom, to the top, to the bottom. So where we're going right now, this doesn't have to go up or down from here. It very well could chop sideways. We could get a Bart Simpson pattern and come back down. But ultimately, any dips that come down from here, I'm setting targets to layer in on the way down.
Yeah. It's very smart. The limit order is a very underutilized trading tool. You could have so many limit orders out right now, casting a net for some bottom feed 'em prices, and so many people don't. Well, there's a lot of reasons to be very bullish about Bitcoin right now, Kelly. But the biggest one is that the leader of the free world has announced that pro Bitcoin. Got the laser eyes here from Joe Biden on the official account. What's your take here? And then I've got a juicy question for you on Joe Biden. I was asked it this morning, but we'll see. You don't have to answer it if you don't want to. But what is your take here? Is this more about the Super Bowl or more about Bitcoin? What were your thoughts here?
I think, I don't want to make it political, and I don't want to get into his medical business, but this might be his way of telling the free world that he's got pink eye. I'm not sure. I don't think that he understands what laser eyes are. I mean, when I saw that, and I asked multiple other people about it, when I saw that, I spent probably 5 or 8 minutes trying to fully determine with authority if it was a parody account or not. And then I was like, did they get hacked like the SEC? Because for him to put that out and know it had to do with Bitcoin, I have a lot of thoughts about it, because maybe they're testing the waters to see how much engagement that would get, to see if there was another way to harvest basically garner some of the losses they've had in not trustability, but their polling numbers coming in, because they've really been suffering in the polls. The pre-election polls. I don't even know what they're called. So I don't know. I don't know if Bitcoin, if Biden even has a true stance on Bitcoin.
Yeah.
I think it had to do more with the politics of the moment than him being like Bitcoin. But it'd be great if he did. We need every politician to support Bitcoin in America, because Bitcoin is the asset of freedom. That is what that's how it's designed.
Absolutely.
Freedom and sovereignty.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I asked my audience on Twitter, over there on Twitter, on X, some of you may know it as, I asked, would you vote for Joe Biden if he adopted the Bitcoin policy of Vivek Ramaswamy? I'm curious. You don't have to answer this directly, Kelly, but I'm curious. What would be your input on that? And this is how the audience broke it down.
I'm not sure if I can see that on my
So
screen.
79% said no, they would still not, right? Which you could assume that a decent majority of that is just very pro-Biden. I mean, pro-Trump folks.
I will say, I was over lunch. My family has a barbecue restaurant up the road, and I was sitting there, and they had some news story on, and it wasn't Fox. It was another channel. I don't remember which it was, but 86% of the people polled, and they were polling Democrats, said that they think that Biden is too old to run for a second term. So I think, unfortunately, and again, this is not even picking a side. Unfortunately, I think for the Democrats, they're hamstringing themselves with the opportunity to potentially win, because even people that would want to vote for Biden are kind of like, bro, dude, you're getting lost when you step off a plane. You look like a Roomba when you're done, at your podium. You trip, you can't say word. I think people are losing confidence, even the people that are on that side. So, we did a lot of overhauling on a lot of the politicians we have, but yeah, I don't know. I don't think that would bring a lot of people that are pro crypto. I don't think are going to change their vote for that to Biden, because they don't trust all the other monetary and economic policies that he's failed on.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Well, it wasn't just Biden that seemed to chime in on the Bitcoin / Super Bowl event last night. So there was also this man here. You may recognize him, Jay-Z, right here, with none other than Jack Dorsey in a Satoshi jacket there. So, Kelly, have you ordered your Satoshi jacket yet in the style of Nirvana?
I know, right? Well, I was telling TJ about that earlier. I don't think that's as bullish as we want it to be. We're very aware of who Satoshi is, and that first word Satoshi is part of the longer name Satoshi Nakamoto. All of us are like, Satoshi! 1 in 700 people had any idea that was related to something that had to do with Bitcoin. So I think it was a soft positive effect, but had he wore a shirt that just said Bitcoin, that would be super, that would have a whole nother effect. But I think Bitcoin, if this was because I've been in since 2015, 2016, if this was that time, if this was that time period, Bitcoin would have probably jumped up 30 or 40%, right? Because one, the market cap was smaller, and two, any mention on major media or huge figurehead like that doing that in that sort of broadcast sort of way had a huge impact on Bitcoin, because we just wanted to be recognized. Bitcoin, let's be honest, Bitcoin is beyond recognized now. It's on every financial discussion of every monetary manager in the world, as well as governments worldwide. In fact, it is a legal currency in some countries now. I mean, think about that. Bitcoin has come so far in the last 15 years, let alone the last 3, that didn't affect price at all. You know, it's a good thing, because we don't want the price to be affected by somebody wearing a shirt, but it's just the sign of the times, the sign of the popularity of Bitcoin and the things to come.
So here's what I will say about this. And then we have a Grayscale report that we're going to be diving into. It's this Grayscale report right here, the 2024 halving. This time it's actually different, says Grayscale. Grayscale is the company behind the GBTC ETF, right? The one that's been bleeding out, the one that's 20 billion. It's crazy. But before we get to that, what I would say about this moment here, this cultural little slice of life, is that there is a large group of people who happen to probably like Nirvana growing up, right, while they were in college, and kind of forming their identities, who represent, right, those Connecticut kind of wealth management funds, right, who are kind of on the fence, like you said, who are like, they're just trying to get convinced right now to flip from being completely against Bitcoin to being ambivalent, right? Or being agnostic, being maybe even as far as open to hearing an argument, right? And I think that Satoshi t-shirt, the term Satoshi has been something that aides and that, salesmen have been coming to them saying, hey, Bitcoin ETF, BlackRock's got it now, Fidelity's got it now. And they're like, get out of here. I'm just going to stick with, whatever their specialty is, the S&P and the NASDAQ, right? Picking stocks, right? But seeing a Satoshi shirt during the Super Bowl on somebody like Jack Dorsey, right? I think it's gonna sway maybe not millions, right, of fund managers, but certainly not zero, right? And so this moment is going to be something that you can reference in a sales pitch to one of those big money managers, saying, "Hey, even on the Super Bowl yesterday, somebody was sporting, the founder of this coin." Right, so that would be my 2 cents of why it is bullish. Obviously, it's bullish it's not bearish, right? But it's also, I see what you're saying. It's not going to get people out, the retail space out and buying stuff and buying Bitcoin, because there's no call to action there. There's no
every grain of sand matters, right?
Yep.
And we're stacking these grains of sand into a compound mixture with water and making cement. And what we're doing is we're building a foundation, and literally every grain of sand matters, because to us, I'm in the market all day long, every day, even on the weekends.
Yep.
To me, I am very aware, not only aware, I would argue that the FTX collapse and the cascading failures we had before that, I don't look at as FTX collapse as in any way a stain or something bad on Bitcoin, because I understand that these are two different things. If you own a car, if you own a car dealership, say it's a Ford car dealership, and you do something absolutely terrible, I don't want to just think of a terrible crime. Does that mean all Ford cars are bad? No, you're a dealership. You sell the cars. So your character has nothing to do with the production and the
100%.
Value of this vehicle. Yeah. Right. And in addition to that, because my mom's a good point, my mom's a good metric to me of what the anti-crypto world thinks. I was talking with her about it the other day, and she's still not ready to get in on it because she doesn't trust it because of the FTX. And I said, well, Mom, how do you still use US dollars? She said, yeah. I said, well, what about the 4 largest failed banks in history that's ever happened in March, subsequently one after the other? Yeah. How do you still trust a dollar when you had 4 of the biggest banks that have ever failed? And okay, we had one exchange collapse because the guy, there's a Ponzi there, but it doesn't make all crypto bad. In fact, they're two different things. And I think that's one of the things that we're still having to get over. Also, the 10 years plus of negative mainstream media coverage, and Larry Fink himself telling people that Bitcoin was an index for money laundering, now flipping. But now we still have Jamie Dimon out there saying that he thinks it's a pet rock and he doesn't believe in Bitcoin. Yet he's an authorized participant on the BlackRock ETF, and JP Morgan Chase is the largest Bitcoin purchaser in Europe.
Preach it.
While he's selling it, dude, it's
ridiculous.
Buy Bitcoin. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, I really like that example of, you don't want to buy Bitcoin because of FTX. Okay. Well, exactly what you just said. What about all the crazy fraud, money laundering, investment into criminal activity that the big banks, Wall Street, have done over the years? And not only that, in 1929, FDR confiscated all the gold, right? You're talking about a completely corrupt to the core system that is no longer working in favor of the voters. It's working in favor of the people who are getting rich off of government expenditures in foreign activities, let's say, right? And that's something that is very unfortunate. It sucks, as both of us have served this country. I've served way less than you have. I'll just make that clear. But we both are true patriots, right? And it's something that it's not like I sit here and rejoice, right, that the U.S. dollar is bad, right, or that the U.S. government is really, really questionable, whether it should be the arbiter of money. It shouldn't be, right? Money needs to be returned back to the private sector. I love it. We can go back and forth. we are super into this.
One more thing here. This is just a talking point for anybody out there, because I'm sure every one of you, as you get more involved, you're going to end up talking about this, or somebody's going to ask you about it, and you need to have ways to discuss this without pushing somebody away or becoming like Republicans and Democrats do. Nobody's willing to hear the other person talk. They're waiting for them to be done so they can tell them why they're wrong. That's not what Bitcoin's about. That's not what crypto's about. We have to understand people are resistant to it because they don't understand it. In fact, so much, the number one thing I hear from people when they find out that I'm really, really involved with crypto on a professional level and on a personal investment level and years of experience, people will say, "Oh, yeah, that's good for you, but I don't understand it. So, I'm not going to get into it." I say, "Okay, do you use your debit card or credit card?" They say, "Yeah." I said, "Tell me how it works." Yeah. They can't. So the not understanding it isn't the function. It's just like marketing a new product. People, even if it's a good product, you tend to have to market. Somebody has to see something 7 to 12 times before they start to consider to buy it, whether it's a magazine or Bitcoin. And that being met also with all the negative publicity Bitcoin's gotten, that was complete FUD from the mainstream media. It's okay that people don't understand it. We just have to plant seeds along the way and not force it down their throats. We don't need to act like I have so many jokes. Never mind. We just need to plant seeds and let people arrive at the conclusion themselves. And show them charts like this. Even if you can pull this up on the screen, even if they don't understand this, say, look, you don't understand what these lines are, but let's just look at some correlations. This is the MACD. Okay, moving average, convergence, divergence. You don't need to fully know that, but look at these vertical lines and look at when the blue line crosses a red line each time. This price went up. Of course, this was in a bear market, so this was coming down. But look, cross back bullish, and we got a move to the upside. Cross back bullish, move to the upside. Bullish down here, move to the upside. Move to the upside. We just got another one of those, and if we zoom out on that, that's this right here. And what are we getting? We're getting that move to the upside. Okay, so there are simple things that you can look at on macro scales, especially looking at things like the, let me come back over to this chart, the halving cycles.
Oh, right, yeah. Here.
This is, come on, I believe in you, computer. There. Looking at this, okay, you don't understand anything about Bitcoin. Okay, Steve or Linda or John or Legarius, whatever their name is, you say, okay, this line right here, just focus on this line. What do you see when this line happens? What happens with each one of these? These are different periods of time of Bitcoin. When this event happened, what happened? Price went up. What happened? Price went up. What happened? Price went up. This is laid. If we lay these on top of each other, it's just like this. See, price went up. This is a time pre-halving. A little bit of sideways, a little bit of chop, but this is the most important thing that we know on the market cycle is that once we get to this, prices tend to work themselves to the upside. And we are coming imminently on this period of time right here, which is identifying that a supply crunch is happening. There's not enough There's going to be half as much new Bitcoin every day on top of knowing that there's new purchasing power compounding that. This is called supply shock. There's only one conclusion. It's more likely than not the price is going to go up.
I love it. Really quick, the title of this stream is Bitcoin all-time high before the halving ? Do you think that... Go ahead.
I just was literally talking with TJ about this an hour ago. I said, you know what would be crazy is if we got an all-time high pre-halving, which this time could be different. We could have something like that with all this new purchasing and interest in the space. I'm not counting on it, but continue the rest of the title, and then we could talk about it.
That was it. I love it. I'll tell you what, because
just vibing on this 50,000, man.
We're a couple of crypto cowboys over here shooting from the hip. We're having a great time. If you are too, smash the like button and hit subscribe. Well, let's dive into this report, because this time it's actually different, is the claim here from Grayscale.com. 2024 halving. They talk about sustained on-chain activity growth. Let's see what they say. The advent of ordinal inscriptions has revitalized on-chain activity with over 95 million non-fungible token-like collectibles inscribed, generating upwards of 200 million in transaction fees for miners as of February 2024. This trend is expected to persist, bolstered by renewed developer interest and ongoing innovations on the Bitcoin blockchain. Maybe you've heard of it. So that's the miners, and there is actually a chart here of inscriptions over time. So you can see the cumulative inscription fees have just gone up, because it's a novel, right? You're inscribing a Beanie Baby, right, into the Bitcoin blockchain. It's never going anywhere. It's kind of like writing it in an ancient anything that Plato wrote, right? You could have paid to have like some kind of message written into Plato's book. Just imagine like that, and then Plato, thousands of years later, is still being read, right? Is still being read. That's what's happening here with the Bitcoin ordinals. And a lot of people don't understand them, and that's okay. You don't really need to understand ordinals to understand Bitcoin. Kelly, maybe you disagree with me, but ultimately you don't really need to understand the underpinnings of the blockchain and ordinals in the same way you don't need to understand what your dollar is backed by. Good luck understanding that, by the way.
Well, here's what I'll say about ordinals for people. This has a profound impact, I think, larger than most people really consider. Some Bitcoin maxis think it's bad for Bitcoin. Bitcoin should just be Bitcoin. And I think that those Bitcoin maxis are actually not even Bitcoin maxis, because this means that they don't understand how Bitcoin works and how mining works and the fees that miners make, not only from getting rewards, but also fees for on-chain transactions. Right. One of the things that we have to realize is that we've mined 19 point something million since 2009. Well, it's going to take another 100 plus years to mine that last 2 million. But at the same time, there's always been, people have this question, well, what happens when the last Bitcoin is mined? How do, at the end of the day, miners are incredibly important to the network, because they're the ones that provide the security layer to Bitcoin that actually gives it a huge part of its intrinsic value. It's the largest computational network and most secure that's ever existed. The Bitcoin network is stronger than Apple, Google, and Amazon clouds combined. It is incredibly strong. And the reason that's important is because if, say, the last Bitcoin was mined tomorrow, what's the incentive for the miners to stick around if they're not making money that they spent all this money to build these facilities? We need things like ordinals, and we need other developments. Some of these, other layer 2 and DeFi projects that are being speculated and being built on Bitcoin, because this is going to drive volume on chain, which will also drive transaction fees separate from the mining, which creates a more substantial revenue source for miners, therefore making miners more incentivized to participate, which, all that to say, it means we can keep Bitcoin as secure as possible for longer, and we have more of a chance of doing that because people can make money on the network.
Exactly. And they also don't understand the opportunity that comes with, Bitcoin ordinals and being able to do more than just have Bitcoin be a store of value, right, or a means of exchange. Expanding the use cases is not bad. NFTs, they seem degenerate, they seem stupid, right? If you don't understand the technology, or it seems like a stupid use of technology. In some ways, it's an underutilization of NFT technology, but it's not stupid. It's anything but. It's in the same way as saying like baseball cards are stupid. It's like, yeah, you could say that if you want, right? But they are worth more than $0 because a bunch of people agree that they're not worthless, agree that they're not stupid. And that's the fundamental difference. By the way, crypto bubbles absolutely flush with green today. Loving this. This is the daily top 100 caps here. Let's read on. I really liked your take there on the ordinals. This is a conclusion of the overall report. Bitcoin has not only weathered the storm of the bear market, but has also emerged stronger, challenging outdated perceptions with its evolution over the past year. While it has been long heralded as digital gold, recent developments suggest that Bitcoin is evolving into something even more significant, propelled by a surge in on-chain activity, bolstered by significant market structure momentum, and underscored by its inherent scarcity. Bitcoin has shown its resilience. The Grayscale research team will be closely tracking its development leading up to and following the halving in April 2024, as we believe Bitcoin's future shines brightly. So now we have a little bit more context. I mean, we didn't go anywhere near into like extreme depth on this report. We could have read more. But I'm really interested in this question. Kind of in light of that, where do you put your chips, Kelly? Do you think we hit all-time highs before the halving?
I'd put it at like a 15 to 18% possibility. And that's, by the way, that number is literally, I just pulled it out of the air. I don't think it's greater than 50%, and I don't think it's under 10%. So let's say 15, 18%. The reason I say that is, even right now we're back over 50,000. We're potentially maybe breaking out of this bull flag that we have. But when we're looking at this, remember, we have to understand, yes, there's sentiment, but there's also technicals. And when we look at key levels on the charts, I don't know why this is so far up. Oh, there we go. Move that down. Oops. Give me
the
1
old
second.
Old trading view tangle. Gotta love it.
Yeah, right. So let's go to the 3-day and let's just look at what this is. So the 786 is at $58,000. And I do think, with so much big money on the sideline, so much big money eyeing Bitcoin right now. And remember, there's a lot of players that have bought down here, okay? And there's a lot of players that bought here. There's a lot of players that have bought over here. And there is a little bit of fear, I think, once we get up towards this region, because we've always seen some sort of substantial pullback before the halving. In this case, this is 52%. Just to here, if we go into the black swan, that's over 70%, right? And the previous halving, we had a pump up into the halving and then a drop of 40%, but we had another 30% drop, another 40 or something or more percent. What is this right here? That is 30. Yeah. So multiple 35 to 40% drops on the way up to this halving. We haven't gotten that yet. Every drop that we've gotten here has been roughly 20%, 20%. Okay. Right there again. Let's go ahead. You can't do it when you have a thing there. So another 20%. Okay, what do we got right here? We have another 20%. And what we just got, interestingly, is on this move right here, that was what? 20%. So do we get a 40% pullback this time? I think there's a little bit of technical uncertainty right now with big players. And so if we do start pushing up in here, I do think there's going to be likely be some harvesting of profits in here. What I'd like to see on the bullish case is this continuing up. Of course, we all do, right? But having a retest back down here at the $50,000 level, and then maybe some sideways, and then continue up, because we also have to consider, in addition to just the technicals, there's going to be some things that might be less than technical within this, because we have huge players out there that might start getting antsy. We've seen a lot of talk with Saudi Arabia they just had a $250 million partnership with HBAR, trying to boost their being a digital hub. We have Thailand that just I believe they eliminated their taxes, capital gains taxes on digital assets. We have other billionaire players out there that, what if we get a $500 million market order, not OTC, or $1 billion market order. There's things that could make this shoot up, but I'm not going to bet on those because those are like golden swans, right? There's no way to predict if it happens or not. I do think we could test up into that $58,000 region. It's almost feels likely right now, but I do think that there's going to be some pullbacks along the way.
Absolutely. I love it. Well, we have a couple of stories here, but we also have a couple of altcoins that you've been keeping an eye on. You said that you made an altcoin portfolio a couple days or weeks ago, and it has been really doing well. I want to get into that, so don't go anywhere. We're going to check out Kelly's portfolio with the altcoins, but let's get a couple of stories in here. These are kind of interesting. Tether and Circle stablecoin purchases dominate in Argentina. Of course, this is a country where Javier Milei is now the president in an unlikely outcome there, a pretty radical libertarian. Some call him other political categories, but he's now the president over there, and he's so far, doing pretty good for what you can with the tools he's been given. The country has long suffered from economic troubles, and the inflation rate last year rose above 200%. So they're hoping to catch a breath from the economic pain that they've been under. Unfortunately, Kelly, I think that they've actually got probably more pain. It's probably going to get a little worse, maybe a lot worse, before it gets better. What are your thoughts, real quick, on this story? Is this something that you've been pretty bullish on?
I think it's a domino that we're going to start seeing increasing with other sovereign level purchasing. Because we're seeing a lot of, I don't even call it struggle because that's not the right word, but we're seeing a lot of pressure on global currencies right now. Remember, everybody thinks the pandemic. Let's not say the pandemic, but the global economic shutdown, we feel like that's all resolved. Logistics, supply chain, all that. We're still seeing effects of all that money printing and the lack of economic spending in March of 2020, for the next 6 or 8 months. There's still issues that we're dealing with. There's not a person that's here that's not spending more money at the grocery store. And unfortunately for the rest of the world, a big part of the pressure on their currencies is the fact that the way the dollar is used, manipulated, printed, and also weaponized has caused issues more exponentially in other places. Mm-hmm. And so it makes sense to me, places like Argentina, Bolivia, Turkey, some places in Africa and the world over really, would be trying to figure out how to get exposure to something that's, even if they could give you know what I was about to say about crypto, even if they don't care, at some point you say, man, that looks like it's a lot more stable than this thing that I'm using, whatever currency that last week bread was $6. This week bread is $18. Mm-hmm. But if I just put this $6 in the stable coin, the purchasing power is going up because my currency is going down, but you're still able to get that bread at the same price. Yeah. Does that make sense? So
that makes perfect sense.
This is going to be, it keeps feeling like all the big dominoes are about to fall. And when we look back, we'll see that they have. It did happen quickly. But as we're sitting here doing it day by day, it feels like it's so slow. But the transition of any currency or any economic system historically has taken hundreds or thousands of years. The fact that we've done what we've done, or not we, I can't take credit for Bitcoin. The fact that blockchain and the digital asset ecosystem has done what it has done in 15 years is astronomically incredible.
Yeah, right. And it speaks to the exponential rate of acceleration, right? The technology is growing by. It's no longer, okay, well, here's the wheel, right? And here's the printing press, and then here's the, first industrial revolution, right? We're seeing AI grow at a rate that's weekly, not yearly, and certainly not century by century. So we got a couple more headlines here. Obviously, Kelly, really, really like that take. My view on Argentina is, it's hard to from a regulatory standpoint, it's hard to get your banks, like say you're Argentina, to say, okay, we're going to start doing everything in dollars now, no longer the Argentine peso, right? Because they're still tied to the central bank. Well, one of the things that Javier has said he wants to do is end the central bank. I don't know what that looks like. I don't think the world knows what that looks like. Ending a central bank that may have only been done in a few failed African nations like the Congo, but it's kind of a lot easier to stop something that never really got started, so to speak. So it's really something that's never been done before, right? But getting dollars into people's bank accounts in Argentina may not be as easy as they think. So what's the next best thing? Well, stable coins I can get on Coinbase, right? As a government, I can authorize an app, and suddenly it's almost like the banks are redundant. The banks aren't really all that needed. Of course, they're going to still be needed for economic development, for building out new developments in residential or commercial, or building a train. There's obviously going to be need for pooling money, but it's not clear that we're going to still need the brick and mortar institutions of banks and the old calcified mentality of a banker, right? It's not clear to me that is going to need to be perpetuated into the future. FTX to sell. Go ahead.
One second. Along that same lines, we have to realize anybody that's in a Western country, and especially if you're in the U.S., money and banks mean something different here in the U.S. than they do anywhere else. Primarily because the U.S. dollar is just what we use, and it is our national currency. But at the same time, when you're looking at somewhere like El Salvador, for instance, or they're a great case example here. A lot of nation states around the world get manipulated by which and what they're able to do or what they want to do, or get redirected over here based on the type of funding they can get in the US dollar. Also the type of interest rates they can get to conduct their economy and adjust different things to make themselves run smoothly, as stipulated by the IMF. Now, what's interesting about all this is that, and this is why it really is interesting. I don't think I haven't even grasped this fully yet. Bitcoin allows an entirely economic, geopolitical, and every other metric. It's agnostic entirely. And so you're immediately able to stand on your own 2 feet. Now, that also means you have a lot more responsibility. And if, for instance, let's say Argentina, they may not get funding that they used to previously get, or El Salvador, they may not get some of the same helping hands that they used to get, or maybe limited in the future because they're no longer beholden to the IMF. But what's happened over the last 150 years is that the U.S. has used the dollar in very falsely goodwill ways. And this is coming from the Patriot. This is coming from a red-blooded American that grew up in Texas that was Mr. Republican. And I've traveled the world now. I see things as they are, okay?
Beautiful.
We have used the power of the U.S. economy to absolutely subjugate other countries. And they have felt like they've had no choice, because where else are they going to get some economic help? But just like we got an economic stimulus here in the U.S., that basically made everybody in the U.S. then suffer the consequences of everything else costing more. But now we want another handout. So it's this subjugation of economic slavery that the U.S. dollar has created. And Bitcoin, as you said, it may be harder for some places when they transition their economy or their system to a Bitcoin standard, but it also means that they have a much clearer path that is self-sovereign, that they can get there quicker. They just have to go through some hardship, but then they won't be subjugated anymore to the monetary controls of the money that they're using.
Yep. Absolutely. That was it. I love it. There's a couple of other things that come to mind, but we got to press on because I want to get to those altcoins, Kelly. We'll have to do a lightning round on that. But really quick, FTX to sell custody unit. So the branch of FTX that was doing custody, it looks like that unit is being sold for $500,000 after paying $10 million for it just months before. So they're trying to scrap up some funds, but that is a huge devaluation, obviously, and that sucks quite a bit. Folks, if you aren't already, go ahead and follow Kelly Kellum on the old Twitter, formerly known as X, or vice versa. And then also subscribe over at BitLab Academy on YouTube, which has never changed its name. Kelly, what are some of the altcoins that you've been taking a look at and having a lot of success with?
Yeah, well, you know what? I'll go over this really quick because I wanted to do an altcoin portfolio that was based on the general trend of what's coming. I didn't look at the 1 hour chart and figure out the best place to buy. No, I said, okay, let me go ahead and I'm going to throw this up right here. I looked at this chart right here and just basically you don't need to know technical analysis. You can see this. We have down periods, sideways periods, and then little consolidation up. Same thing. Down period, sideways, little consolidation up.
Yep.
Down period, sideways, little consolidation. The next likely outcome is up. So I basically went on Coinbase and I identified, I think it was 12 or 13 coins that I wanted to buy. And I didn't look at the TA. I just said, okay, buy and I have my percentage allocation. Buy. I didn't one after the other. And these were the coins that I got right here. And this is, I don't mind you sharing this. Essentially, Ethereum, Chainlink, Cardano, Avalanche, Near. Of course, these are layer one ecosystem. This is the infrastructure for a huge part of the crypto ecosystem, as well as bridging things into the in real life world and data sets. Cannot not have this in your portfolio. Cardano, another layer one, but also working on real world infrastructure, which I think is interesting. Avalanche, I think this is interesting. Yes, another layer one, but I think this is going to have a lot more real world real world asset tokenization, as well as gaming, as well as I don't have any inside information on this. I just have this sneaking suspicion. I feel like Avalanche is primed to have some really big partnerships coming up in the next year or two.
Absolutely.
And then Near Protocol,
really quick,
SEI.
Before you go to Near, I agree with you, because Robinhood is a little bit of a cheat code, because Robinhood is extremely embedded, way more than Coinbase, much more embedded in Wall Street, and has been for a while. Now, yes, they were the kind of the Wall Street antithesis, but they have Citadel as their clearinghouse, right? They're in bed, right? JP Morgan, a major investor. So there are cryptos listed on Robinhood that were taken off, right? Cardano and Solana are probably the biggest, and Matic are probably the biggest ones of note that are not on Robinhood. AVAX, XLM, right? USDC over Solana, over Polygon, over Ethereum allowed, right? So there's kind of like this weird mystery. AVAX is listed. So is XLM. That's a question mark, but AVAX is interesting, and I think it is going to be kind of a darling similar to Solana, right? But Solana just hasn't got that really strong check mark of approval that AVAX has, in my opinion, from a regulatory standpoint.
I mean, absolutely. And I'll just go, I know we're coming up on time. Near, this was kind of on my radar, but when I interviewed Didi Taihutu, the Bitcoin family guy, and he put this on my radar just to really look back at it back in August. And I didn't make any moves on it. But this is another one that I really like their tech. I like the way their protocol operates. And I think this is, and it's further down the market cap rankings, which means it's going to take less monetary energy to move it up. SCI also, Render, obviously the graphics play, and especially what all the press we're seeing about, this might seem separate, but this is another example. The Apple Vision Pro, there's going to be more and different types of integrations and devices like that. And there's more things that are requiring graphics. And I think this is a great play. The graph, the index, basically trying to index all the information across different blockchains. If you don't care about that, ask yourself how often you use Google. That's what indexing is. So we need something like that. And this also has a little bit of an AI play within it as well. Ribbon Finance, this one's way further down on the market cap ranking. So this one is a bit more risky, but I think that they have some strong partnerships and some interesting people that they're associated with that I think is going to be allude to some positive growth and evolutions in partnerships as they grow. So that's a bit of a flyer as well. But then HBAR, of course, Quant. I cannot believe Quant's just hovering around 100 for the last month, it feels like. DeSo, Decentralized Social, and TIA. This is the plays that I took, and I'll show you really quick. This is the green line is where I bought these, and I didn't do any TA on this. But so that's Ethereum, that's Link, AVAX. I mean, things are just. Look at that.
Oh, wow.
Near.
It's like all. Oh, it's all of them.
Cardano. Look at that. This goes to the candle that I bought on and the price level. And then SEI.
Goodness gracious.
Everything is just up. And you know what? We cannot get drunk on gains. I know people, I'm not going to say his name, but a dear friend of mine the other day, He's been investing for quite some time in crypto and started trading. He made 2 trades, made like $7,000-8,000 on each trade. And
Nice.
we've all been there. It's like, you know what? I'm going to quit my other job. I'm going to be a trader. And I said, let's just call him Steve. I said, Steve, you cannot call yourself a trader because you took 2 good trades when you're in a very strong uptrend. Give yourself 40 more trades. Let me know what your hit ratio is. 2 trades later, he was fully liquidated. His entire, he lost it all. And so we need to make sure, even I tell people on the BitLab stream, even though these are up right now, I wouldn't be upset. In fact, I would be thrilled if the price would just drop below that price that I bought on, because that means I could, because I saw that chart, this chart right here, and I have a conviction that this is the most likely thing to happen. If the price does drop below the levels on these, below this green line, I am going to be finding ways to lower my average entry on these coins. I'm not going to be upset that, oh my God, I bought and it's below. No, we're not going to be crybabies anymore. We're going to take responsibility for knowing that we have a strategy that we can utilize whether price is up or down based on the diligence we do. And hey, it's buying season right now so wait for those opportunities to buy and stack. Stop chopping yourself out of this market before the damn fireworks happen. Man, I'm bullish.
I love it. I love it. Well, in this bullishness, we have to remember that we are going to be paying capital gains tax, and our partner for that is Decrypted.tax. Book your free 60-minute consultation today. Kelly, it has been an amazing honor. We got to have you on more often. If you're not subscribed to the BitLab Academy, if you're not subscribed to Kelly's X account, go do it. They're the first links in the description. It's literally so easy. A caveman could do it. Kelly, any parting words before we set sail here?
I'm just so happy to be here with you, T-Shroom. I'm happy for every single person that's here in the audience. You know what? We as content creators, we appreciate y'all being here. The likes, the subscriptions, or even just the eyes. We love building this community because this is not about us making money off y'all. Because no, me and T-Shroom, Tim, we're in this because we want to build a community, and I want to show you where I messed up so you don't have to make that same mess up, and we can grow a community together. There's so much negativity on this space. Everybody here, when you watch any other stream, if you're in the comments, let's spread positivity. Let's drown out the trolls with empowerment, positivity, and all keep our minds right. Be grateful. Big love to God, to mother, to family. Love all you guys.
Absolutely. We'll have you on again soon. Stay hydrated. Keep those stop losses tight. Adios.
Trying to make paper. Turn that better to cake. Money like Lego. Connect the dots, stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros. Army pipe, lethal on trade. Entries and exits, worthy of praise. Tim, the professor of the TA. Shout it out loud on the PA. T-Shroom's news got the word. Doing better than what he deserves. Beamer, leave no evidence. Soon fly coop with his dividend. Trying to make paper. Turn that better to cake. Money like Lego. Connect the dots, stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros.
Investing bros. Investing bros. Investing bros. Investing bros. Investing bros.